Thank you, Thank you, Mataji, for that wonderful bhajan. I wish, we had more time to just keep on listening to you. Maybe some other day we'll have that mercy. Thank you so much, Mataji. Now I invite Her Grace Sita Mataji. At exactly 4 o'clock, we have to zoom in for Malti Mataji. So I think if you finish your talk, Mataji, we'll do Bhajan Sandhya later. And we have a new YouTube link. The morning session one had a little problem, so I sent a new YouTube live link in the Sakhi Sanga group, so please forward it to those who are watching. We have many views. I think we have over 500 views to our YouTube. So I now invite Her Grace Namrata Mataji, my dear friend, to introduce our dear Sita Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So we would like to welcome Her Grace Sita Devi Dasi Mataji, and her legal name, like all of you are very well aware of her and you all know her very personally, because she really reciprocates with everyone so personally and so intimately. That's a very special quality of Sita Mataji. And yeah. So her legal name is Dr. Sandhya Subramaniam. So she's a BDS, she's in dental surgery, and she's also done MS in psychotherapy and counseling. So she's a qualified dentist, but she's very passionate about also working for the environment and youth and women. So she started the Bhakti Vedanta Hospital Youth Foundation, under which she conducted the AIDS awareness counseling program for youth based on culture and traditional value systems of India for a decade starting 2006. She initiated other projects such as anti-plastic campaigns and tree plantation drives, engaging youth from 50 schools and colleges in Mumbai. She also heads the Green Temple Committee of Radha Gopinath Temple. Spiritually, she's a sincere practitioner of Bhakti Yoga since the past 27 years. And I have been under her, she has been my counselor for more than 20 years. So I have been seeing her like this, and she's just the same, like we used to see her almost 20, 30 years back. And she's also a long-standing disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. She's also a spiritual counselor in Radha Gopinath congregation. And presently, she heads the Women Empowerment and Skills Development Program for rural women at Radhanath Swami Maharaj's Govardhan Eco Village outside of Mumbai. This program assists local women with respect to various aspects such as spirituality, health, poverty elevation, food security, and teaching them to make a livelihood through skills such as stitching, painting, handicrafts, and fruit production. You all had seen the video regarding that, right? As a trained dentist, she gives free treatment and awareness talks in the villages about general health and hygiene. She keeps conducting workshops and seminars on teaching principles of bhakti, Sanskrit shlokas, and Vaishnava bhajans. So you all will also get the taste of her Vaishnava bhajans soon. She also gives personal spiritual counseling sessions. She's a great Kirtaniya singer and also trained in classical Indian dance, which she learned after the age of 40. When we all think, is the age where we can't learn new things, she actually started getting trained for Kathak dance. So she has represented ISKCON and spoken in prestigious universities in New York, such as Colin Powell College of Global Leadership, and most popular yoga events in California, Bhakti Fest and Shakti Fest every year. And as we all know, and Karuna Radhika Mataji had also told that how the idea of Sakhi Sanga came in. So it was Mataji and Karuna Radhika Mataji's idea that they actually got all of us together. So if this Sakhi Sanga Fest is happening, it is because of Her Grace Sita Mataji and Karuna Radhika Mataji. So thank you so much for coming to Hyderabad. I think we all Hyderabad devotees are very, very fortunate. So 3 loud Hari Bols for Sita Mataji. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I want to welcome all of you to this beautiful festival, Sakhi Sanga Fest. And the theme of this event, when we all met, we thought of, women in bhakti and women empowerment, that to be that as the theme of this year's festival. And I'm so grateful to Sakhi Sanga Fest and the whole team here that we are highlighting a topic such as women empowerment, which is something some people, think that why do women need to be empowered? They just need to be, in the kitchen, or they should just be with the children. Why should they be empowered? Because the word empowered sometimes makes people feel very, threatened. But personally, I have the realization that if whatever we are doing today, I'm talking about my personal experience, if I am here today in whatever way, in the association of devotees, whatever little service I am doing, it's only because of my spiritual master, our Guru Maharaj. Each one has their own inspirational guru who has shown them the path. And in my case, I was given that empowerment. I was given that help when I needed it the most. And that was His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. I met him when I was in my dental school, in my final year. And the first thing that he empowered me with, and he gave me this instruction, that, your mind is something which is your enemy or your best friend. But it depends on you how you want to use it. So he gave me a way of life, and he told me that if you use your mind in helping others or empowering others, then your mind will become your best friend. That's how he inspired me and empowered me. So I feel that women empowerment is so much needed in our movement today. So I am part of Govardhan Eco Village. It's a project in Mumbai, and it has been started by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and with the aim of teaching to the world how we can serve Mother Nature and live in harmony with Mother Nature, and how we can lead a very sustainable life. And the United Nations also has accepted that one of the sustainable development goals, they have made women empowerment as one of the goals. So for a holistic development of any society, we have to focus on the women. So personally, my experience in the villages is that, as you must have heard this statement, you require a whole village to raise a child, right? It's not one person can, raise a child, because it's the influence of so many women coming together. The whole village can inspire a child to develop so nicely. So in the village, I have seen that the women, though they are so poor, you know, but they are always united together and they always come together, like even in the fields, they work together. So that is real sustainability, you know. So women empowerment is recognized now as most important to develop a society. So we really need to think, even among devotees, how we can empower women and how we can empower each other so that we can become more productive in our life. So what is not real women empowerment? That's what we should understand. Why is there so much, you know, sometimes a resistance from people or maybe from men when they say that, you know, women empowerment it might make the women go, you know, become too independent or something like that. So, you know, truly Srila Prabhupada said that in the modern society, we see women's liberation. Next slide. What is not real women empowerment? So we are discussing about what is not natural for us. So Prabhupada always said that the women's liberation movement in the modern times is actually encouraging the women to think that, you know, that any kind of lifestyle that they lead, which is, you know, not following the proper culture or the traditions, is something which is okay or it's acceptable, or they think that if the men can smoke, why can't we? If the men can drink, why can't we? So if the men can have affairs, why can't we? This is the mentality that the modern society under the, you know, the women's liberation movement, that is something which we don't want to promote. Because that is not our culture. That is not our Vedic culture. I mean, in our Vedic culture and our tradition, we have always seen that women are not competitors. We are not competition with the men. We are actually complementary. Like together, we are supposed to move forward and help each other to make spiritual advancement. So this is the first thing which we need to understand, what is not women empowerment. Because in the name of empowerment, sometimes women think that, you know, they can behave any way they like. So this is something which we don't want to promote. So the power of a woman, you know, like from time immemorial, women is also known as Shakti or energy, power. Next slide. So women are same as, it's compared to an atomic energy. Like there is so much energy in a bomb, you know, like, and if you have all seen what a destructive effect a bomb can have, right? It can completely destroy everything. So a woman has so much power in her that she can make or she can break. You must have heard this famous line. स्त्री जो है वो घर बना भी सकती है और तोड़ भी सकती है. She can break the house. You know, so many times we hear stories and all these serials in the TV is all revolving around how women are always doing some kind of sajish to break, you know. So this is what the soap operas or the serials, they all talk about. So the negative effect of that energy, you know, can be so serious. So there is a very famous saying, hell hath no fury as a woman scorned. If a woman is, you know, जैसे पंगा ले ले बोलते हैं ना, अगर औरतों से पंगा लिया तो कुछ भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि जब तक they are controlled, they are fine. But if they, you know, if they are triggered, they can create a lot of havoc. So, but how to channelize this power that we all have, you know? Women, next slide, women as Shakti, power. How we can channelize this energy, you know? So, that is what we have to learn, you know, from our Vedic culture and our Vaishnava culture, that how we can use this energy that we have in the right direction. You know, just like from morning we are hearing such amazing talks by Janava Mataji, and she spoke about the power of bhakti, you know, and Mataji, Radha Mataji, about empowerment that Srila Prabhupada has given to the senior disciples, his senior disciples. From their example, we can really get so much inspiration how we can come together and imagine, you know, if each one of us is like an atomic bomb, if all of us come together, what kind of a dhamaka we can create, you know. I think that's what is happening today, which we can see all of us together here. So, Vedic scriptures has always given so much importance to goddesses. You know, we worship women goddesses. Next slide. We address women goddesses, you know, starting from our most dearmost Radha Rani. You know, she is like the epitome of the supreme goddess, and all other goddesses are just emanating from her. And she is the one who's actually inspiring bhakti in everyone's heart. She is the giver of bhakti. So that is the culture from what we are coming from, the Vedic times. You know, some people have this understanding that women in Vedic culture are so downtrodden, they are so abla nari, as they say. You know, that's the impression that people have, that women are helpless and they are always to be, you know, they are always exploited. That's the impression that people have all over the world about India. But truly, if you study the Vedic culture, women were always given so much more importance than the men. According to the Vedic teachings, ancient, in the Aryan scriptures, next slide, women have been placed at a higher status than man. She has been given preference to man in every field. Just like, you know, we don't, it's the culture here. We always take the name of the goddess first. Radha Krishna or Sita Ram. And even our country, India, our motherland, is worshipped as Matra, as mother. So this is what is Vedic culture. In fact, it's the other way around in the Western culture, you know, the so-called British civilization, I mean the British who actually made us, you know, think that in your culture women are always disrespected or never given equal. They created this narrative, but actually you can see that even in Europe and in America, for, you know, the women were not even like till even 500 years back, women were not even allowed to vote. They were, in fact, there was a whole movement against women. Some of the women were hunted as witches and they were burnt on the stakes. That is so barbaric, actually. We can see so many, you know, the mentality of the Western civilization, where the women were not even given an equal status to vote. So actually, if you study the Vedic scriptures, everywhere you will see that the women have always been given so much importance and they have always been worshipped. Next slide. So respect to women was paramount in Vedic culture. In fact, the exploitation of women is actually a modern concept which the British, you know, colonialism, they created that narrative. But the true symbol of a culture of a nation is judged according to how its culture is based on respect of the women. So that's how a civilization is, you know, judged. So definitely the Vedic civilization is a very, very evolved civilization. So next slide. Lord Manu forcefully states that wherever women, Narya, are adored and regarded, that is pujyante, I believe there resides godly people. Ramante tatra devataha. And where they are not regarded or are neglected, all efforts, kriya of men will be afala, means will bear no fruit. So this is a very, very powerful statement. that wherever women are exploited, the family will suffer. There will be no economic, prosperity in that family. And that the men in that family, whatever efforts they put, there will be no success. That's why in our culture, Vedic culture, women are known as Lakshmi. Why is a woman known as given respect as Lakshmi? Because if you take care of her needs, if you take care of her emotional needs, and if you love and respect her, then automatically Lakshmi will come into your family. You don't have to, and whatever efforts you put, for earning wealth will all be successful. That is what our culture says. That's why we have a culture during Dashera. Now we will be having this puja, and it's called as Kanya Puja. Right? Everybody in Hyderabad, we call all the young girls home, and we feed them, they wash their feet, and give them so much, and then give them gifts. So they all become happy. So that's how we can get, good Sukruti. So next slide, we see that women, even in India, have always been, very, very, you can say that even though so-called due to modern this, we have not got so many opportunities, but now we see that more and more women are excelling in themselves in every field. They have excelled in various fields such as business, sports, science, arts, and even warfare. Thank you. I'm sweating a lot. So warfare is something, the Vedic times, the women were actually trained in warfare. As in the morning we were talking about Ramayana, that that story where Kaikeyi actually got the boons from Dashrath Maharaj. Why? Because she saved him during the war. He was supposed to be killed, and she protected him in the middle of the battlefield. Now imagine that if a woman can save a man, how skilled she must be in warfare. And in more modern times, we have example of Jhansi Ki Rani also, where she tied a child, her own baby, around her back, and she fought with the Britishers till the very end, till the end of her life. So that's how, thank you. So that's how empowered the women were in Vedic times. So these are the women of substance that we see even in modern times. So Marie Kom, she excelled in a field which is totally male dominated, right? In India, men like to think that they are very, very strong, so they are always showing off the strength. But Marie Kom has proven herself in the field which men have, always. So we have all these examples. In the field of business, Indra Nooyi, she is known as one of the most powerful CEOs of Pepsi company. And of course, Mother Teresa, in the field of, spiritual and philanthropic service. So now we will talk about Vedic women who are so empowered that we can learn so much from their example. So as devotee women, I really feel that we should not buy into that that understanding that we are weak. Because as Mataji was speaking about Srila Prabhupada's, he has always encouraged us to serve Krishna equally, with men. So the Vedic women are held in high regard because they are naturally devotional. It's a quality which comes naturally, So once there's a very funny example of Maharaj telling that in a big Mahasatsang program, on the same day as India-Pakistan cricket match, the men's side was fully empty and the women's side was full, like all the women had come for the satsang and all the men were sitting at home and watching the India-Pakistan war, So it's very natural for women to, be devotional, and they like to get together and hear about Krishna consciousness. And why is that? Because their heart and mind are naturally gentle and devotional, and they are easily able to surrender to Krishna. And the most famous example is of Draupadi. Draupadi is a real example which she inspires me, as an empowered woman, and because she is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna. And it is said that Draupadi was so empowered that she was given the opportunity to choose her own husband. Not only that, but she could actually reject Karna. During the Swayamvar, Karna came and said that I want to, marry Draupadi. And she immediately raised her voice that I don't want to get married to this man. So she had that assertiveness to even state her choice. And it is said that Krishna, Lord Krishna himself, developed his friendship with Pandavas, and the Pandavas were connected to him also through Draupadi actually. Because Draupadi was the connecting link, because he was the closest to Draupadi. And Draupadi was his greatest devotee. And Krishna helped. If you notice that every time Krishna came to help the Pandavas, it's always when Draupadi was in distress. Many times if you study, he always came when Draupadi was in any kind of distress. And she would just call out to Krishna and he would come rushing. Especially that pastime of Durvasa Muni, when he came after she had finished eating and the Akshay Patra was washed and cleaned. And that's when he came, because Duryodhan wanted to somehow, instigate him to curse. And she just remembered Krishna, and the next moment Krishna was there at her doorstep. And he took a small grain from that Akshay Patra, and Durvasa Muni and all his 60,000 disciples were so satisfied that they started burping and they had to leave. So he protected Draupadi at that time, and also when she was in the worst kind of situation, when she was being disrobed in the assembly. So Draupadi is such an empowered person that Krishna himself wanted her to instruct his wives on how to be a good wife. So in Mahabharata, there is a time when Draupadi spent a whole day answering all the questions of Krishna's wives. How to take care of, how to be a good wife. So Draupadi's husband survived in the war. Achha, this point is very important. That Krishna was so upset that she was humiliated in that way, that she was molested that every person who was in that assembly actually was destroyed. All the Kauravas, every person who was in that assembly died, except the Pandavas. And that too only because they were Draupadi's husband. And we can see that her quality of compassion, that when her 5 sons were killed by Ashwatthama, she was the only one who stood up and said that we have to forgive Ashwatthama and his... why? Because his mother will feel the same kind of grief that she is facing now. So she's had that love and affection in her heart and so much compassion that she forgave. So we have examples of Devahuti, which I will not go in detail, but she also showed she had the freedom to choose her own husband based on their own temperament and her goals. And what was her goal of life, Devahuti? Her only goal of life was spiritual life. She just wanted to practice spiritual life. And that's how she chose her husband, according to that desire. And Arundhati is one more Vedic woman. She's supposed to be the most knowledgeable. And all of you must have seen during the marriage, we all have to see the Arundhati Nakshatra, She's so celebrated that Arundhati and Vashishta, they were the ideal householders. And in every respect, they were serving each other, complimenting each other. And she was so blessed with such a wonderful uh, personality, serene composure, and she was always respected and worshipped by everyone on par with her husband because of her knowledge, because of her spiritual, steadiness. And the Mahabharata describes her as an ascetic, meaning a very, very advanced spiritual soul. And she was so advanced that when she would speak and give discourses, all the sages would listen to her. And so also we have in Srimad Bhagavatam the example of Kunti Maharani, next slide, where Kunti Maharani's prayers in the first canto are so glorified, and every Rishi, Muni, every Acharya in all the Sampradayas have been studying these verses which Kunti Maharani has narrated and recited. So the knowledge that the Vedic women had was so much that they were always respected and revered by everyone. So Gargi is also a renowned philosopher. She was again a very, very realized soul, and at her time, when Gargi was there, she was there at the time of Janak Maharaj. And Janak Maharaj had kept a debate in his kingdom, and he invited all the scholars of that time. And Yajna Valkya was a very famous scholar, and he was challenging everyone and he was defeating everyone in debate. And that's the time when everyone was defeated, he started challenging, now who is there to sit and, dare to sit with me and debate. And that's when Gargi stood up, and she actually debated with him. And though she did not win the debate, but she stood up to him, at least. So she had that confidence. That was because of her deep knowledge of philosophy. So even in our recent times, in our Vaishnava tradition, Janva Mataji, the wife of Nityanand Mahaprabhu, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left and Nityanand Mahaprabhu left the movement, they have left the world, it was Janva Mataji who actually gave shelter to all the devotees. She is the one who took care of all the devotees, and she was guiding everyone. She was like the spiritual guide. Next slide. So we have examples in our Maharashtra of Jijabai. She was such an empowered woman that she could inspire her son, Shivaji Maharaj, to empower himself to fight against the British. So there is a very famous saying, how Mataji was talking in her talk about motherhood, how being a mother is so, it is so important, and it's such an important position because you can actually shape the child's, life. You can inspire him to do great things. And we can see that in the example of Jijabai. She inspired Shivaji. So there is a very famous saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. So that's the importance of motherhood. So what is true women empowerment? Next slide. So empowered women can empower other women. So with all these Vedic examples that we just heard, we can see that how they had such an impact on the society. They had such an impact on, others. So only an empowered woman can empower other women. Vedic women were empowered due to their deep spiritual qualities. And what are those qualities? The most empowering qualities in women are chastity, sacrifice, and devotion. So we see these three qualities in every woman. It is naturally there. So we have to just develop these qualities, because these qualities will actually empower us. Sacrifice, chastity, and devotion. So we talked about the quality of sacrifice. So we have the example of Gandhari, how she gave up her freedom to even see. She put a blindfold on her eyes just to support her husband, or just to, give confidence to her husband. This is a very extreme example, but you can make out from that because of that sacrifice, how much power she got. She was so empowered. It was that when Lord Krishna wanted to, give that extra strength to Bhima, to win the war against the Kauravas, he just told that when Gandhari removes her blindfold, so that's how she had that much power. So that's how we can see that by the power of chastity, she got that power. That she can empower any man to become strong like 10,000 elephants. That's what the pastime was, that Krishna wanted Bhima to get that strength. And I think the pastime goes like this, that Duryodhan, her own son, was also going to meet Gandhari when she was going to open the blindfold, and Krishna met him on the way, and he tricked him into saying that how can you go before your own mother naked? So you must at least cover your, in the middle and go. And that's how, when she opened her blindfold, Bhima was completely, his whole body became like Vajra, like at the inner, like iron. And Duryodhan, his whole other parts became very strong, but this was the weak part. That's why at the time, at the end of his life, in that match, he lost and he died because of a broken hip, So we can see this is the power of sacrifice. And chastity, we have so many examples, but Sita Devi is one of the Vedic examples for chastity. And the power is such that Ravana, he was so afraid to even touch Sita, because there was a curse that his head would burst into 1,000 pieces if he just even touches Sita without her permission. So that was the power of chastity. And the modern day example is of Maharani Padmini. You must have heard of this famous queen. You saw the movie Padmavati, where she was so beautiful that this Mughal king was wanting to, enjoy her beauty. But she was so chaste that she chose to, jump into fire and kill herself rather than becoming a victim to his lust. And the third most important quality is of devotion. And the example is Kunti Maharani, and many other examples where we see that devotion is something which is connects us to Krishna and which comes naturally in our heart. Like for women, it's easy to because we don't have such an inflated ego, and we love to serve anyways. So devotion is a quality which can really empower us, because we can really create such an impact by that. So quality of an empowered woman, what is the qualities that a person who can remain calm in the face of fear and opposition. That even if, we are not given the opportunities that we all have experienced sometimes in the movement, we really want to do or contribute so much, but we are not given that opportunity, or we are not given that encouragement. But still, even if we are not given that encouragement, we have to remain steady and keep our goals fixed. And when we keep our goals fixed, then whatever you decide in life, whatever service you want to do or whatever goals you want to achieve, you will be able to achieve. If we remain calm, even in the face of fear and opposition. And for that, the second point is we have to have complete trust in ourselves. So this is one of the qualities which, like for empowered women, we need to first trust ourselves. In whatever plans or whatever goals or whatever desires we have, unless we have trust in ourselves, we will not be able to really put all our plans in action. Because there may be so many people who are pulling you down or saying the opposite or discouraging you, but we have to keep, being steady and have the trust in ourselves. Like for example, Sita Devi had total faith on herself and Lord Ram of rescuing her, so much that even when Hanuman came to rescue her, she said, I will wait for Ram, as she had only faith in him, that he will come and save me. So she didn't get, carried away by that. And last, we have to show courage. We have to be courageous to accept any negative situation which may come in our life. So Sita was sent to the forest and abandoned by Lord Ram when she was pregnant. Now, if you see such a situation, people in the outside world see this, that how sad, that she was abandoned by Lord Ram. But she herself never felt like this. She herself understood Lord Ram very clearly, that, and she didn't get lost in self-pity. She didn't think that, oh no, I have been exploited, I have been rejected, I have been abandoned. That was not her. She fought, even in that situation, she faced it with a lot of courage. And she understood her own responsibility as a woman and as a mother. And she took that decision to be a mother and face the negative situation with a positive attitude. So this is the quality of an empowered woman. And last but not the least, we have to forgive and forget. Because in the course of our life, when we want to do something, any kind of service, we will always face oppositions, we will always face challenges, and we will always, have some people who maybe hurt us or, belittle us or, maybe even humiliate us sometimes. But we have to always forgive and forget and not hold any grudges, because that is the empowering quality of a woman, that we have to learn how to move forward in life. Because holding on to negative emotions is only going to create negativity in our heart. So, femininity versus feminism. So, one of the points that Mataji had spoken in her topic was that women being natural in their nature, women are naturally nurturing, naturally loving. That is our feminine nature. Women and men in Vedic times knew that they both have different natures. They are neither superior nor inferior. So women always acted according to their feminine nature. So there was no question of competition. So femininity versus feminism, the word feminism is because the women are not being in their feminine nature, and rather they are becoming more aggressive. They are becoming more aggressive because they are trying to compete with men. But that is not the Vedic understanding. The Vedic understanding is that women and men are different from each other, and women, if they remain in their feminine nature, they will also be happy and they will be able to make others, their family and everyone around also happy. Because I have met so many women who, in the name of feminism, choose a lifestyle which is not according to their feminine nature. They are always, sad and dissatisfied. So Vedic understanding that is that women need to understand their role according to their innate feminine nature. So that is what is the point. And there is a very funny understanding or a statement. In fact, there's a book that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Like they're two different planets. Now when we are from two different planets, how can we expect, that, we are different from each other. So we have to accept the strengths and the weaknesses of both the sexes. Anyways, this is just a funny statistics just to understand. They say that men are more intelligent, but we know better, right? So, but we know better. Men are more intelligent than women by about 5 IQ points. That's what they say. That they are very logical and reasoning, and we are like too emotional. But actually the statistics shows that men are approximately 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. Yeah. So why? Because women are more capable of taking emotional and mental stress. So we may not be logical and reasoning like them, but we have more ability to face stress, whereas men don't have. That's why we see when a woman dies, the man cannot manage. But when a man dies, when the husband dies, the wife can still manage. So I would like to conclude by saying that by these 3 qualities of sacrifice, chastity, and devotion, we can empower ourselves as devotee women. We have been blessed that we have this beautiful association of devotees. And what should we take from them, from this Sangha, is that we inspire each other by imbibing these qualities which will empower us. And when we get empowered, we can empower other women who are maybe less privileged than us, or they are underprivileged, they don't have any facilities. We can at least give them that gift of bhakti. So we have to understand the spiritual potential that each one of us has within ourselves. Rediscover our real potential, just like this picture of the caterpillar. When you see the caterpillar, the first time it's all covered in this cocoon and it's not able to even move. And you can see it's restricted. But there is a story of a child who saw this struggle of this caterpillar inside the cocoon, and he cut the cocoon. It actually, the caterpillar couldn't change, couldn't transform itself into the beautiful butterfly. Why? Because actually the struggle that we go through, just like that caterpillar, the struggles and the challenges and the difficulties that we face in life is what makes us what we are today. So we have to, as devotee women, we have to understand that whatever, even if we get, as they say, our life is bitter like lemons, even if our life gives us lemons, we should take those lemons and make a nice lemon juice and drink it. We make use of the negative situations in our life and make it positive. Why? Because the most positive thing in our life is the association of these Vaishnavis. As Mataji said, the only thing that we need in Krishna consciousness to make progress is a good Vaishnavi Sangha. Having husband, family, and our whole life goes into just taking care of them, and we ignore our needs. And our needs are something which we really need to focus on. And when we connect with other devotee Matajis in this kind of sanghas and forums, we will see that we are able to give that happiness to each other. And we are so grateful to Srila Prabhupada that he has given us this gift of bhakti. So I want to thank all of you that next slide, we can realize our spiritual potential by coming together, and as the Sakhi Sanga theme song goes, let's all chant together, Sakhi Sanga, let's all dance together and make spiritual progress so that we can serve Krishna all together in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for such a wonderful topic. We thought we know, about women empowerment, but with the clarity you told us, it really gives us all a great vision about what real empowerment is and what real empowerment is not. I think there is a lot of confusion about it because people feel they're inferior when they need to be empowered. So Mataji made it very clear that that's not the case. Thank you. We have Mataji, one sec. I would like to request Aradhita Mataji, Her Grace Aradhita Mataji, to give a small token of gratitude for Sita Mataji. We have 5 minutes before we have someone joining in from US, which is going to be a little of a surprise. But we have 5 minutes for any question and answers. Exactly at 4, we will close this and open the Zoom session. So, time for a couple questions from anyone? Anybody? Questions can be, we have Radha Mataji also and Sita Mataji. Any questions? 5 minutes.
I would like to know from Radha Mataji, Sita Mataji and other Mataji, we know you will be doing a count of chant more than us, but we would like to understand as a woman, how can we improve in increasing our chant count on day basis? Maybe a kind of
I don't think I understood the question. The chant count? How do we chant our rounds every day? Oh, okay. You chant them every day. That's how you do it. Sometimes so many things seem important. We have so many responsibilities. Haribol, Hare Krishna. Haribol. You have to prioritize your own spiritual life. Just like you have to eat so you can take care of everyone else, you have to chant your rounds so you can take care of others. Because if you don't chant your rounds, you can't become Krishna. I wish my husband could chant my rounds for me, right? But no one can do that for us. We have to do it for ourselves. So, yeah. And it's not a waste of time. It's not taking away from our duties. It's actually a service that we're doing for our families.
I think we have our guest joined in, so we will stop the question answer session here. So for our last seminar of the day, we have a very, very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada joining us from the United States of America, Her Grace Malti Mataji. So she is joined into Zoom and she's able to see our group here. So I would just want to take a few minutes to introduce Mataji. I know there's no way, I can do justice to introducing Her Grace Malti Mataji, and she actually doesn't need any introduction, but just to do the convention. Malti Devi Dasi has joined ISKCON in San Francisco, USA. She was initiated by Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco in early 1967. And since then, we all know she has been an integral part of the pioneer years of the ISKCON, especially setting up Krishna consciousness in the UK. She often traveled with her husband, Shyam Sundar Prabhu, who was Srila Prabhupada's personal secretary. So what we hear from Malti Prabhu is going to be, a very personal note of her experiences of Srila Prabhupada. Among all the tasks that she did, she also cooked for Srila Prabhupada. She then moved to India to assist and establish the Hare Krishna movement here, and she played many key roles in India, including establishing extensive deities and deity worship. In 1990, I'm going to skip a lot of her milestones because of time. We want to take her association as much as possible. In 1990, she established an all-female ISKCON temple, which was awarded a bronze plaque by the State of Ohio Historical Society, recognizing the center as the first Vaishnava or Hindu temple in the state, mentioning in detail its unique status in training women in Krishna consciousness. Her Grace joined the GBC in 1998, and among all her responsibilities, of which she had many, she was focused initially in the United States. Very important role she played, and that we can connect today with Sakhi Sanga, is that she is a founding member of the Vaishnavi ministry, formerly known as Women's Ministry, and through this ministry, she facilitated so many activities for women, including international retreats, and her focus was spiritual advancement of women in ISKCON. Another project of hers, which I can relate very well, is the Festival of Inspiration, which was held in New Vrindavan. I was very fortunate to attend many of these. It was, festival which was 10 times this magnitude. So this was North America's largest gathering with the theme of Vaishnava education and culture. Her Grace spends most of her time traveling, offering classes and instructions in Krishna conscious practice and philosophy, and is a regular participant in interreligious gatherings. Of all the duties, she holds a deep concern for the future of ISKCON in general and for the youth in particular. She advocates women in all manners of service, inspired by Srila Prabhupada, and who was always engaged her in her service. She is currently co-authoring a book that is a compilation of personal remembrances of female disciples of the movement's founder of Srila Prabhupada, I think Srila Prabhupada's daughters. So we have Her Grace Malti Prabhu joining in. She's joined in, and she's going to speak on lives in ISKCON are perfectly guided by Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandat Pranamaji. Please accept my humble obeisances, and over to you, Mataji. So we will be able to see Her Grace on the screen there.
Should I begin? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I will. So, can you hear now?
We are not able to hear you, Prabhu.
I hear you very well. All the things you said that were wrong.
Hare Krishna.
I can hear.
आईफोन है
ये लगता है इधर लगता है
हाँ लग गया
ऊपर है ना ऊपर
हाँ ये नहीं लगता ये नहीं लगता अरे इसमें आउटपुट नहीं आ रहा कि इसमें हेडफोन में करो उसको ऑप्शन चालू हो जाता
हेडफोन इसको लैपटॉप पे बैठे इनको लैपटॉप आया ज़ूम फंक्शनैलिटी ज़ूम की भी ऑडियो कनेक्ट చేయలేదు
ये लगाओ ये इनपुट करो
జాయిన్ బై ఇది ఉంటుంది కదా జాయిన్ బై ఇంతవరకు వచ్చింది
Can you hear now? Do you hear them?
Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Okay, well, perhaps you should have had a Vaishnavi technician. Oh. Should I start? Should I begin?
Yes.
I don't hear you.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. From the ladies' experience, where most often we're not hearing this. And this book should be read by everyone. It's not a book for ladies, it's a book for everyone. And it was inspired, I was inspired to have such a book when I realized that people were not understanding, people in general, men and women, were not understanding Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful broad-mindedness. So you've been hearing from some amazing Vaishnavas, and I just fall at their feet. I fall at all of your feet. I'm not I'm not scholarly at all. I have no vast experience at many of the arts attributed to ladies, such as parenting and other types of things that are often seen as duties of ladies. Somehow or other, that just was not part of my lifestyle. But I had the good fortune of coming in personal contact with Srila Prabhupada and becoming very convinced through his association, through his example of how he perfectly guided our lives. I became convinced of his ability and his spiritual status of being a spiritual leader who would be able to guide the whole world. It's a very good statement. But the fact is, Srila Prabhupada has done just that. He's guiding the whole world for anybody who wants to listen and learn about the love of God. At the same time, sometimes, before I start, Om Magyantamrandasya Yananasakavaya Chaktu Medhamina Tamasmi Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Hadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvashesha Srinivadi Vaskachane Satane Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So sometimes we hear criticism that ISKCON is overly focused on Srila Prabhupada. Claiming we are narrow-minded or fanatical. And this is now even coming, sadly enough, from the inside as well, as I discovered only a week ago. One temple of newer in that long-term practitioners, but not Prabhupada disciples, so they're having discussions. Do we have to follow all of Prabhupada's instructions? And I mean, just simply asking that question is not inherently a wrong question. It's a question that should lead to a very good discussion. But they're not actually questioning. They think that it's not necessary, and they're discussing which instructions they shouldn't have to be bothered to follow. And I find this alarming. So I feel compelled, with whatever time is left in my old age, to address this topic.
Not better.
I can't understand you, what you were saying. Are you trying to tell me something? Maybe you can write it in the chat. To address this topic about Srila Prabhupada's position in ISKCON and about his ability to perfectly guide the members of ISKCON back home to Godhead. I've spoken about this quite often, that exclusive loyalty to Srila Prabhupada is not fanaticism. As members of ISKCON, we know, we honor all saintly Vaishnavas. We honor spiritual teachers and seekers of the truth from whatever authentic path they may adhere to. But as members of ISKCON, we are bound heart and soul to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as expounded and taught to us by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So I hope to express something to this effect. As a little back history, many saintly acharyas followed in the line after the departure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over 500 years ago in June of 1534. Initially, they were able to carry on the message, but gradually the Sampradaya fell into disarray, with upper Sampradayas, false Sampradayas exposing concocted philosophical deviations and rituals, and eventually Vaishnavas were completely ignored and rejected by the respectable public, and the pure message of Mahaprabhu was lost. So in 1838, when things were just, you could say, rock bottom, Vinod Thakur appeared, and it was by his divine guidance as a seeker of truth, he came into contact with the Chaitanya Charitamrita at the age of 31, and this completely transformed his life. By careful scrutiny and repeated readings, he became fully convinced of the divinity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being none other than Lord Krishna himself. So with great conviction and being fully realized as esoteric truth, it became his mission to expose these bogus followers and restore the message of Mahaprabhu to its rightful purity and respect. And he was assisted in his efforts by his son, who later became known as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Actually, he prayed to the Lord for a ray of Vishnu to help him in this effort. So that ray of Vishnu was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and together they fearlessly preached the glories of the Sankirtan movement far and wide within the borders of India. However, both were visionary, both understood the message of Mahaprabhu was intended to be preached far and wide outside the confines and borders of India. And this became closer to manifesting in 1896, when two things occurred. One was a small book written in English by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, The Life and Precepts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, made its way outside the borders of India into countries like England and Canada, and thus in a small way expanded the possibility of spreading the Lord's teachings all over the world, as the Lord himself had declared. And the second indication was actually far more exacting, and that was on September 1st, 1896, was the appearance of a male child on the occasion of Nandasotvaha in Tolakanj, Calcutta, under a jackfruit tree. Named Abai, this baby was destined to become an international spiritual leader, as foretold by an astrologer. And this, of course, is our Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So when I say our Srila Prabhupada, because I'm distinguishing from in 1977 in Vrindavan, India. Now, I was told that there are newer persons participating in this wonderful retreat. So, part to the devotees who are more informed, you may know much of what I'm saying, but I'm feeling really compelled that everyone should understand Srila Prabhupada. So I'm really thinking about these newer persons. And as my experience last week showed me, even older members of this time are not free from the unfortunate doubt about Prabhupada's role within this society. So during the time, Srila Prabhupada spread the message of Mahaprabhu, particularly in the form of the Maha Mantra, all over the planet. That means he started actively preaching outside of India, as most of you know, from the age of 70 years old. I don't know how many of you who are attending this conference are 70 years plus. I'm now, a couple weeks ago, I turned 77. And I think those of us who are in older bodies are even further amazed at what he accomplished, considering the age he was when he began his mission. Of course, it was always in his mind, and it wasn't like all of a sudden he turned 70 and started doing something. It was a lifetime dedication, we know that. But it actually manifests from the age of 70. So during this time, Srila Prabhupada was spreading the message in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the teachings from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam all over the planet. And this feat is without equal, and nor is it in dispute. It's an established record that cannot be broken. We know in the material world, the secular world, quite often there are, particularly in sports, people maybe they're running or jumping or performing some sport, and they make a record, the fastest runner, the highest jumper, the greatest of all time. But those records are there to be broken, and they will be broken, and they can be broken. But Srila Prabhupada, in spreading the message of Mahaprabhu, established a record that cannot be broken because it's done. So we can understand, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is not just another name or a picture in the line of disciplic succession, because he accomplished something that no other previous acharya had ever done. And in total dedication to the order of his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who gave him the instruction to take the message and preach in the Western world in English upon his first meeting. So in dedication to that order, he fulfilled the mandate of Lord Chaitanya by spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And no one else can make that distinction. It says in the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Chaitamrita 7:11 that no one can successfully preach the Sankirtan movement without being specifically empowered by the Lord. And such a person is known as Shaktavesh Avatar, specifically empowered by the Lord to fulfill a particular mission. So this title, Shaktavesh Avatar, and the fact that he spread the mission of Mahaprabhu worldwide remains without dispute. An acharya is one who teaches by example. And Srila Prabhupada perfectly exhibited this mood of acharya. He never claimed fame or prestige for his accomplishments, which would take days to elucidate. When asked about his success, he would very modestly say, if I have done anything, if he would say, if I have done anything, it is that I have always followed the instructions of my spiritual master. I have not deviated. It is by his mercy that there is any success. In other words, he was 100% loyal to his spiritual master. And this was expressed in the Bhagavatam. This loyalty was expressed in the Bhagavatam by Sri Prahlad in 7.9.28, a very well-known verse. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after the other, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant, Narada Muni, finally accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve transcendence. And then, the most important part. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? So there is so much packed into this simple statement, but a very profound statement. And I will focus on the beautiful relationship between Prahlad and Narada Muni, his guru. We all know the life as a child of Prahlad was quite horrendous in many details, because he was tortured, abused by his father, to the extent that his father had his teachers try to kill him, and when they were successful, his own father tried to kill him. But nothing could deviate Prahlad from the service to Narada Muni, even when his very life was threatened, ways we can't even imagine. He remained fixed and composed. He didn't go outside seeking the advice of ill-informed fools, or take to some concocted modern practices, or try to figure out, why is this happening to me? He didn't do that. He remained loyal to the instructions and service of his guru, giving all loyalty to him without deviation. And this precise loyalty was exemplified by our Srila Prabhupada in all instances, without compromise. And I will give an example close to my heart, because throughout my life as an aspiring devotee, in all circumstances, this has been my guiding beacon. And it occurred in San Francisco in 1967. Now, just want a quick pause here, because we got kind of started a little late, and I had kind of planned on an hour. So should I cut down to fit within the time, or is it okay if I go over time a little bit? Can you quickly tell me? Yes, no?
Yeah, time.
So, thank you. And your voice is a little distorted, so I'm hoping you said yes. In this situation, and I will not go into great detail, but it was July of 1967. And for those of you who are familiar with the life of Srila Prabhupada, and have read the Lilamrita, which I humbly advise everyone, please read Lilamrita, become familiar with Srila Prabhupada's life. So he had suffered a medical emergency earlier in the year, the end of May. And the devotees, in great despair, didn't know how to help him. So they tried a couple of things. I mean, first they put him in a hospital, which he didn't want, and after a few days he said, "Get me out of here. They're just simply poking me and taking my blood." Then they got him a little cottage on the coast of the New Jersey shoreline, thinking fresh ocean air, fresh ocean breeze, and sunshine would be very healing. But instead of fresh ocean air and sunshine, it was dark, cold, and extremely windy. Strong wind is not the same as a pleasant breeze. So he was then brought to San Francisco, and again we had a small cottage on the Pacific coast. In New Jersey, it was Atlantic Ocean coast. And it was better climate conditions, but he was not regaining his health. During this time, while he was in that little cottage in California, we held the first, this is a little historical insert here, we held the first Rath Yatra festival outside of India in July of 1967. And he was not even able to attend. The next day after the festival, we brought Jagannath Subhadra Baladev to see Srila Prabhupada, and they remained with him for 1 week. So, as he felt he was not regaining his health, he told the devotees that he wanted to meet all of us in San Francisco. And at that time, we were still a very young group of devotees. If you consider 1967, we were not even 1 year old. And the devotees, we were just a few minutes old in our attempts to become Krishna consciousness. This son was not a year old. And we were just, like little babies in the preschool. So he came, he sat very erect, and he said that, told us that he decided to return to India to recover his health. And in saying that, he said, I'm an old man. I may die at any time. I want you boys and girls to push on this movement. And honestly, we were shocked to the core of our hearts. The primary mantra in the Hare Krishna movement, we all know, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But you know, there's that secondary mantra, and we'd already learned it. And that secondary mantra, birth, death, disease, and old age. And so we knew that, but somehow it had not really entered our lives by way of actual experience. So when he told us this, we were feeling quite bewildered what to do, how to do it. In his presence, we were empowered to go out and preach fearlessly, even though we hardly knew anything. But it didn't matter. In January of '67, I was initiated. Right after the initiation ceremony, he told us, now you go out and preach. There were four of us that looked at each other. I raised my hand. How do we do this? Because at that point, we were just a few days in his association. There were no books, there were no older devotees per se. The older devotees were just a few minutes senior to us. So, is it possible to turn off your videos because I'm in action and it's really distracting to me, to be honest with you. If somehow they just turn off the videos so I don't see. Because it makes me think I can do something longer, what should I correct?
You're okay, Mataji. You're okay, Prabhu.
So, we felt like, how do we call this? Just listen to what I tell you and repeat. There's instruction. Leadership. So, we were ready to do like that. We had probably conscious mindset, we were listening, and then we would go out and we would try to preach. And if people ask us questions, we answer them. But I know someone who does, and we could go to Srila Prabhupada. And if he was not present in San Francisco, perhaps he was in New York, because those were the only two centers at the time, we could write to him, and he would answer immediately. You know, there's thousands of letters. You can read many of these letters from Prabhupada into Sikhamrita. Or we could even call him. So he was always right there for us. But now he's saying he may not even come back. He's leaving, he may not come back, and we're supposed to push on this movement. So one of the devotees, Mukunda Adhikari at the time, he was thinking, how can we do this? We don't know so much actually. So recalling how Srila Prabhupada had requested help from his godbrothers in the beginning, even before he came to America, requesting help to come and help spread this Krishna consciousness. He asked, would it be all right in your absence if we invited one of your brothers to assist us? No question of replacing him, just assist us. And when he asked that question, Srila Prabhupada became very, very silent. It was like one of those silence that you read about at the first Anandamacharan. So silent that you could hear a pin drop in the sand. And when he spoke, it was in a very grave, deep voice. And he said, my spiritual master was not an ordinary man. He saved me. If even one person were to come and change even one word of what I have taught you, the whole thing would be spoiled. Everything I have to teach you is in these books. What were these
Recording in progress.
What were these books? It was the first volume, Srimad Bhagavatam in 3 parts. That was it. That was all we had. We did not even have Bhagavad Gita. And he said, everything I have to teach you are in these books. Can you imagine how valuable the first canto of the Bhagavatam is? Written prior to his coming to America, with purports that are rich with meaning and vision, instructions that are completely pertinent to this day. It's almost as if he's talking about today when you read his purport. How is it he was able to be so visionary, to explain everything in such a way that it remains always fully relevant? He explained that himself later on. He told some disciples one time, as he was admonishing that we should study his books, he goes, even I read my own books. Do you know why I read my own books? Because when I sit down to write, Krishna comes and speaks to me in my ear, and I simply write what he is dictating. Consider that. So, everything I have to teach you is in these books. I'm an old man. I may die at any moment. Again, we knew the disease old age, okay, but we did not think of Srila Prabhupada as an old man. In those days, as hippies, now former hippies, we had another mantra, the hippie mantra. There was a few hippie mantras. Love and peace was one of those mantras. But also we said, don't trust anyone over the age of 30. And here is Srila Prabhupada, 90, 70 years old. We fully trusted him. We fully trusted him to the extent we offered our very lives to him, because we didn't see him as an old man. He said, I may die at any moment. We couldn't process that. I want you boys and girls to push on this movement. How would you do that? My spiritual master is not an ordinary man. He saved me. There was no personal or agenda or pride. He was giving full credit and loyalty to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Even one person were to come and change even one word to what I have to teach you, the whole thing will be spoiled. There was no false ego implied in the statement. He was protecting us and protecting ISKCON in our early stages of infancy. ISKCON being 31 years old at the time. Isn't it fanatical for a parent to hold tightly to the hand of a young child when crossing dangerous streets? This is your duty. And Srila Prabhupada, he knew what we could not understand, and he was protecting us and protecting this fledgling movement. Bhagavatam teaches one should not become a guru if they cannot save their dependents from repeated birth and death. Srila Prabhupada saw how his brothers had ignored his early attempts to work cooperatively with them and spread Krishna consciousness. He heard their criticism that Swami Maharaj, as left India for America, associated with the mathajis. Imagine that. Now that there was some success, their interest would not be to help, but rather to gain control by interfering. He could understand what we could not, and later incidents proved this to be a fact. Everything I have to teach you is in these books, and these books, as mentioned, the 3 volumes of the first canto, were carefully brought over on the Jaladuta. There were not even enough copies for everyone to have one. He brought initially 250 copies to show a matter of information. So he was leaving the future of the Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, in the hands of children who could barely understand what was happening then, let alone what would happen in the future. So it is our good fortune, all of us, to be counted as his disciples, as grand disciples, his followers, now and into the future. And it's our duty to remain loyal to his teachings. As members of his ISKCON, it is our duty to remain loyal to his teachings and legacy, so that we may proudly cherish and participate in the future of ISKCON. In 2016, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of ISKCON. Some of you on this conference will be around for the 100th year jubilee. So please mark these instructive words and remain and become a loyal follower of Srila Prabhupada and his ISKCON mission. Srila Prabhupada will empower anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness with sincere faith and determination. He will empower you with the ability to further this mission by carrying out his order. And it's a standing order, a personal instruction to every member of ISKCON for all time in all countries to please help push on this movement. One time, early on, 67, I think maybe 68, he was giving a darshan, giving instructions in San Francisco, and he was telling us, go out and preach, open centers. And Rukmini Devi Dasi, even the ladies? Even the ladies? Yes, even the ladies. So in a letter of 1969, in a letter to Hyderbad, one of the early disciples, Prabhupada wrote that in India, all of the acharyas and their descendants later on acted only from the man's side. Their wives were at home because that is the system. That was the system from the old times, that women were not required to go out. And he continued, but in Bhagavad Gita we find that women are also equally competent like the men in a matter of Krishna consciousness movement. Please note this. Women are equally competent like the men in the matter of Krishna consciousness movement. Please, therefore, carry on these missionary activities and prove it by practical example. There is no bar for anyone in the matter of preaching work for Krishna consciousness. This letter you can find. It was written in 1969. Prabhupada puts in a purport that lecture is also kirtan. So as morning kirtan is there, similarly morning lecture can also be delivered. So far as boys or girls lecturing in the morning, actually no, this is also on the letter, sorry. And so far as boys or girls lecturing in the morning, that doesn't make any difference. Either boy or girl devotees may deliver a lecture if we choose to do so. We have no such bodily designations, male or female. Krishna consciousness is on the spiritual platform. As such, anyone who is a devotee of the Lord, following along in specific succession can deliver lecture in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In I think it was 75, there's another wonderful letter that he wrote to a young lady named Jennifer. And he began, my dear Jennifer, and in that letter he told her, we are Vaishnavas. We are not concerned with male or female position in life. That is simply bodily concept of life. It is not spiritual, whether one is male or female. It doesn't matter. Simply chant Hare Krishna and follow the four regulated principles, and your life will be perfect. And in 1972, July, there was a very famous letter, well-known letter, that was written to my god sister, Arundhati Devi Dasi. Arundhati Devi Dasi and her husband at the time, who Prabhupada would call Panditji, his name was Pujuna, but he was helping Prabhupada with his translating work, and he had learned Sanskrit, was one of the first members of ISKCON to...
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
So he was one of the first members to study and adequately learn Sanskrit. And she was doing transcribing, of course, with the Prabhupada, and also she was doing Pujari Seva and had a small son. So she had written to Srila Prabhupada, and here's his beautiful answer. My dear Arundhati, please accept my blessings. I'm the receipt of your letter dated July 19, 1972. And I'm simply surprised that you would want to give up your child to some other persons, even if they're also devotees. So the thing was, she was doing all the service and she was doing this Pujari work. And some devotees were wanting her to do more. And they were saying, they'll take care of her child. So she was not sure. She initially went along with it, and she wasn't sure if this was the right thing or not. And so she wrote to Prabhupada, and this is his reply. I'm simply surprised you don't want to give up your child to some other persons, even they are also devotees. For you, child worship is more important than deity worship. If you cannot spend time with them, then stop the duties of Pujari. At least you must take care of your son until he is 4 years old. And if after that you are unable anymore to take care of him, then I shall take care of him. These children are given to us by Krishna. They are Vaishnavas, and we must be very careful to protect them. They are not ordinary children. They are Vaikuntha children. And we are very fortunate to give them the chance to advance further in Krishna consciousness. That is a very great responsibility. Do not neglect it or be confused. Your duty is very clear. Our lives were surrounded by Srila Prabhupada's affection. And it was often evident in how he interacted with us as Vaishnavas. One very sweet letter, February 20th in 69, addressed to my dear little mothers, the only time we were ever called mothers by him, by the way, my dear little mothers, Yamuna, Malati, Janaki. Please accept my blessings. I lost my mother when I was only 14 years old. So I didn't get much of my mother's affection in my childhood. But in my old age, Krishna has given me so many young mothers to take care of me. Another mother, Govinda Dasi, is there in Hawaii. She's always asking me to go there. So I will go there within this month. I was just remembering another instruction that Srila Prabhupada had mentioned to my husband Shamsundar when he was serving him. And this goes along with the letter to Arundhati, just in terms of concept and mood. So I don't know the exact details of the conversation, but Prabhupada's comment was very succinct. And he told Shamsundar that the child can live without the father. Speaking about young children, but the child can live without the father, and without the mother, it is living hell. And then you can see by this letter that he lost his mother when I was only 14 years old. So I didn't get much of my mother's affection. So the role of motherhood was given such great esteem, respect, value, and importance by His divine grace. He mentioned one time that among Vaishnavas there may be some difference of opinion due to everyone's personal identity. But in spite of all personal differences, the cult, this is his word, he uses the word cult. Nowadays some people are not comfortable with that word. Srila Prabhupada would talk, the cult of Krishna consciousness, the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the cult of Krishna consciousness must go on. And we can see that under the instructions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, they began preaching Krishna consciousness movement in an organized way over the past 100 years. This is our Srila Prabhupada speaking. And he continued that the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, they're all godbrothers. And although there are some differences of opinion, and although we are not acting conjointly, every one of us is spreading this Krishna consciousness movement according to his own capacity and producing many disciples all over the world. As far as we are concerned, we have already started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And like many thousands of Europeans and Americans, boys and girls, have joined this movement. And indeed it is spreading like wildfire. The cult of Krishna consciousness based on the 9 principles of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaram Padase, Nam Martinam Vidam, Mandanam, Dasyam Sakyam Nivedam, can never be stopped. The cult of Krishna consciousness, based on these 9 principles of devotional service, can never be stopped. It will go on in a distinction of caste, color, creed, or country. No one can check it. No one can check it. This is published in the purport, Bhagavatam 4:28-21. And another point, he told Hari Sari, Hari Sari, he said the secret of his success was that he engaged the ladies, he engaged the women. And recently, Anujama Prabhu copied and pasted a post on one of our American leadership conferences. And in that, he said, his female disciples are more intelligent than men. So, there was another incident that I was part of that occurred in Calcutta, India. And all of us, the men and women, were living in that temple. It's the same temple that's there presently with some modifications. But it was quite an awkward situation for many reasons. And the men were feeling some discomfort having to live in such narrow quarters with the ladies. And of course, that made us feel uncomfortable too. And if anybody has been to Calcutta Temple, you know that there's a pond in front, I imagine it's still there was a pond in front of the temple. And one of the issues in the temple was that there was only one bathroom for everyone to use, men and women. We had to share this bathroom. But when Prabhupada was not present, because when he wasn't present, the men could use his bathroom. And there were 2 doors, one on each side of the bathroom, and for the ladies to get to our quarters, which were actually on the roof of the temple. We were living on the roof, outside, with mosquito nets kind of like covering us. They had to go through the door, through these doors. And sometimes people would forget to lock the doors, so, it could be a little embarrassing sometimes. And sometimes people would forget to fill the water container, because in those times, the water did not go all day. You had to fill a big container. So then you would find out the water would go off, there was no water to take a bath, or anything else you might need to do. Very awkward. So the men started talking among themselves, and they were saying that it would be better for the women to live somewhere else. That the women should go somewhere else and live, outside the temple. So, on one morning walk, they decided to present this idea to Prabhupada. Now, the women in the temple at that time included myself, Halika, and Kashaya. And while Prabhupada would be on the walk, we would clean the entire temple. We were also pujaris, meaning we would also bathe in our saditis, etc. We would also pick the glasses by the way. So the men were on the walk, and they presented to Prabhupada that I mean, again, if you can shut off your videos if you're going to have a lot of activity, because I'm sorry, it really distracts me because I'm just wondering what's going on and what you should do. So they're telling Mr. Prabhupada, and he listened and didn't say anything. Now they're returning to the temple, and we always knew when he would return because the stairs were wooden in those days, and you could hear this Prabhupada's cane coming up the staircase. And as soon as we would hear that cane, we would open the doors and we'd stand there to greet him. So that day, not knowing exactly what had happened, that the men were presenting how we should be removed from the temple, we stood there, we'd open the door, and Prabhupada was coming up, and then suddenly he stopped, and he turned around, and he uttered the first words on that walk. He goes, yes, acknowledging that he'd heard him, yes. But if you associate with these women, and then he turned and pointed to us with his cane, if you associate with these women, you'll go back to Godhead. So that ended the discussion of relocating the ladies out of the temple. As a slightly humorous side, we noticed, the ladies were noticing that other women were they were bathing in that lake across from the temple. So we thought perhaps it would make things easier that we should also go and bathe in that lake, and that way we wouldn't be tying up the bathroom, people in the bathroom. So we started doing that. And it didn't last long because one of our well-wishers, a very nice Bengali gentleman, came to see the Prabhupada and goes, Swamiji, you ladies are bathing in the lake with the prostitutes. Because we didn't realize that those other ladies were prostitutes. So obviously, it didn't look so good that we were bathing in with the prostitutes, although our intention was to try to alleviate the awkward situation. So I'm just hoping somehow or other that particularly for the new persons who are coming to Krishna consciousness, that you solidify your connection with Srila Prabhupada. Of course, all of us must do that as members of his ISKCON. Solidify our connection to Srila Prabhupada, and that can be done through service, through reading his books, through carefully studying his books, associating with devotees who are themselves fixed in Krishna consciousness. And this idea of becoming fixed in Krishna consciousness can only happen through following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and not someone else, if you're a member of ISKCON. So that is just my short little message that I hope will be taken into consideration. And when everybody is acting in accord with Srila Prabhupada's instructions and messages, this Krishna consciousness movement, as Prabhupada said, will go on. It is said for 10,000 years. And we don't want to be the cause of distraction. We want to be the cause of assistance. We want to be part of pushing on this movement, now and until the future. So thank you, all of you who are taking the time to participate. And I hope that your lives in Krishna consciousness will always be enriched by the association and teachings of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very, very grateful. Thank you, Mataji. Are you able to hear me? Thank you very much, Mataji.
Somehow I'm not able to hear you properly. When I first logged in, I heard Radha Dasi very clearly. I'm so happy to see her and hear her. but somehow or other we're having a microphone problem, I think. A little audio problem, yes. So thank you very much, and I wish everyone unlimited success always in Krishna consciousness. And please do not hesitate to fully express
Shri Jagannatha. Hare Krishna. Please, this is the mood of taking surrenderance of a Lord. Hare Krishna. Tvameva. It's a tabla loop. By the time the tabla loop starts, I would just explain. There are three
స్టాండ్ అంటే పెట్టు స్టాండ్ లాగదా బాయ్
I'm singing a song composed by Purandaradasa. I would need some help from all of you. Okay? Yeah? Say Hare Krishna if you. Thank you. Let's do once practice and then in the song I'll give a cue and you can start. Okay? So it goes like this. Jaya Jaya Vithala Jaya Hare Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Jaya Hare Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Jaya Hare Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Jaya Hare Vithala Jaya Jaya Vithala Vithala. Okay? It comes 4 times and we'll sing 4 times in between the song. Okay, Mataji, you can start the track. Tamburi. Tamburi meetidava tamburi meetidava bhavati datidava tamburi meetidava bhavati datidava tamburi meetidava राधा गोपी वल्लभ की, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की, नित्यानंद राय सचिनंदन की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की।
Okay, Hare Krishna. I just have one request. Like in the morning, I had given my laptop back to someone. I am not able to locate my laptop bag. If anyone has it, please get it to me. है? Mathajis, start Mathajis. Start the music.
చూడరండమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మా కృష్ణుడు రేపల్ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్లి ఏడువాడు చూడరండమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మా కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్లి ఏడువాడు అనగండాలు దాటించు నల్లవాడు గోపాలమ్మ మడుగుల వాడిన గడసోగమ్మ వచ్చాడమ్మ గోగుల గోపన్న పాడు కొండలు ఎక్కిన అందరి పిల్లోడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చీరలు దోచిన చిన్నోడమ్మ గారెల చేత పిడుగోయమ్మ వచ్చాడమ్మ పిడుగుల కిట్టయ్య చీరలు దోచిన చిన్నోడమ్మ గారెల చేత పిడుగోయమ్మ వచ్చాడమ్మ పిడుగుల కిట్టయ్య చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు బాబకు బుద్ధులు చెప్పిన వాడు భామల పాలిడి ప్రేమల వాడు వచ్చాడమ్మ రాధాకృష్ణయ్య బాబకు బుద్ధులు చెప్పిన వాడు భామల పాలిడి ప్రేమల వాడు వచ్చాడమ్మ రాధాకృష్ణయ్య వాడు పెనుగుడు వెన్నెల కన్నయ్య చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు మామకు తగ్గ అల్లుడు వాడు చెల్లిని కాచిన అన్నయ్యాడు వచ్చాడమ్మ అందరి కృష్ణయ్య మామకు తగ్గ అల్లుడు వాడు చెల్లిని కాచిన అన్నయ్యాడు వచ్చాడమ్మ అందరి కృష్ణయ్య చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చక్రం పట్టి తిప్పేవాడు అమ్మకు విశ్వం చూపినవాడు వచ్చాడమ్మ ముద్దుల కృష్ణయ్య చక్రం పట్టి తిప్పేవాడు అమ్మకు విశ్వం చూపినవాడు వచ్చాడమ్మ ముద్దుల కృష్ణయ్య వాడు తొలకాలన్నీ కాచేవాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు గురువాయూరు క్షేత్రంలోన గురువై ఉన్నాడమ్మ వాడు చందన గంధపు సుందరుడోయమ్మ గురువాయూరు క్షేత్రంలోన గురువై ఉన్నాడమ్మ వాడు చందన గంధపు సుందరుడోయమ్మ వాడు గురువాయూరు దేవుడు అయినాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని ఏలువాడు చూడటమ్మా వచ్చాడమ్మ కృష్ణుడు రేపల్లె వాడల్ని
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Thank you, Mathajis. Thank you for that wonderful song. All right, now we will have the grand finale with the kirtan, and I would request Mathajis to please hold this carpet so we can all dance. And while they set it up, just wanted to convey my heartfelt thank you to each one of you. Having all of you here means so much to us. So thank you all very, very much from the bottom of my heart, especially Radha Mataji for having come all the way. And made this event. It looks like it's a one-day event, but the amount of work went into this. It was such a team effort. We have such stalwart Mathajis that they took care of everything individually. I could just say, Mataji, take care of this, and it was done. So it was a huge team effort. I think we all cooperated well, and you can see that this is, no simple feat. So we are hoping that, we can do this every year, maybe on a bigger scale. So stay tuned and please be with Sakhi Sanga. Hari Bol.
Cordless mic, Mataji.
एक माइक ले लेगा.
I'll start once.
एक इसमें लगा लो और एक माइक दे दो.
I could just give a beat. I'm starting slow first. And then...
Where is that?
Everybody ready? All those people who are behind on the chairs, get
इन लोग को दो पोल्स.
ये तो माइक और दो.
नहीं, इन लोग को दे दो. हाँ, दोनों के बीच में बैठ जाओ.
second time we take it fast. Now only the first one slow.
और एक माइक
You try, Jambe.
Come, start.
Mataji, you try this. You told you'll try now.
Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabh ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaunitai ki Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama निकुंज में विराजे घने श्याम राधे राधे निकुंज में विराजे घने श्याम राधे राधे जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल 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 सब बोलिए हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल सब बोलिए हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो 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 राधा रमन हरि गोविंद 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 बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो राधा रमण हरि गोविंद बोलो राधा रमण हरि गोविंद बोलो राधे श्याम 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 राधे गोविंद भज मन कृष्णा कन्हैया भज मन कृष्णा कन्हैया भज मन राधे 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 गोविंदा Krishna Govinda Hare Murari, He Nath Narayan Vasudeva, Hare Krishna Govinda Hare. And now the Sakhi Sanga anthem. Everyone together. Sakhi Sanga, Sakhi Sanga. Let's all chant together. Sakhi Sanga, Sakhi Sanga. Let's all dance together. Sakhi Sanga, Sakhi Sanga. Let's all chant together. Sakhi Sanga. Everyone. Sakhi Sanga, Sakhi Sanga. Let's all chant together. Sakhi Sanga, Sakhi Sanga. Let's all dance together. Everyone, let's all chant together. Sakhi Sanga, Sakhi Sanga. Let's Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dula, Girivaradhari Gopal, Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dula, Girivaradhari Gopal, Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dula, Girivaradhari Gopal, Jai Nanda Yashoda Dula, Girivaradhari Gopal, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल नंदलाल
We request Hari Vallabha Mataji to sing her Come On, Come On song. Popular, very popular song.
Hare Krishna.
मजा आ गया लास्ट में
सच में
जाएंगे रहने वाले जो
So Mataji made it a very costly thrill. Though it's called cheap thrills, it's the costliest thrill. Everyone singing Hare Krishna.
Singing? Singing? Come on. Come on, come on. Oh yeah. इंतजार का फल मीठा होता है. You just wait for 2 minutes. Hari Vallabha Mataji ki jai. Come on, come on.
Let's chant his name.
We
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Are you ready?
Mataji start. Volume.
Come on, let's chant this name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and it. Krishna name. Chant loudly, leave all anxiety. And please don't be worried, chant and be happy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, come on! Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Come on, let's chant this name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and offer you the Krishna prem. So let's chant loudly, leave all anxiety. And please don't be worried, chant and be happy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta
come on, let's chant His name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and offer you the Krishna prem. So let's chant loudly, leave all anxiety. And please don't be worried, chant and be happy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Ji ki jai. Once more. I think the energy is full on. Cheap thrills become spiritual thrills now.
Costly, very costly thrills.
Very costly thrills. Okay. Okay, play once more then. Hari Bol. Come on, let's chant His name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and offer you the Krishna prem. So let's chant loudly, leave all anxiety. And please don't be worried, chant and be happy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. I want to listen from everybody. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Come on, let's chant His name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and offer you the Krishna prem. So let's chant loudly, leave all anxiety. And please don't be worried, chant and be happy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Harivallavi Mataji. This is like the best ending of any Sakhi Sanga. Yay! Request Radha Mataji to kindly present Harivallavi Mataji with a little gift. Small token of our gratitude, Mataji, for coming and spending all day with your child here. Thank you so much.
Okay, most all of you, please stay back for a group photo. And we have prasadam, dinner prasadam down. Whoever don't want to eat now, they can carry home packets, right? And you'll have a drop facility even now. You have the car to drop you till KPHB bus stop or metro station. Yeah. And anyone, if you have figured out, if you have got my laptop back, please give it to me.
And yeah, can I request the drama team to come? We have small gifts for you. The drama team, the wonderful drama team. All the gopis, the Dvija Patnis, Krishna, Balram. Suma Mataji, Ananga Sundari Mataji and team. Ananga Sundari Mataji, your team has dispersed.
Last nursing day prayer leda. Na gontu baaledu.
Nursing day Brahman and Brahman while it's going on beta class. Suma Mataji. Narshingath Chadama to end. Narshingath Chadama to end. Ayo, Can you all wait for a group photo, please?
It's okay.
We request all the participants who have participated in drama, please come up. We have some gifts for you. Drama participants, please come up onto the stage. All the young gopis in Rasa dance and Dvijapatnis and the Brahmanas. We request you to come up on the stage. Please,
Please, everyone who had participated in the drama, please come here. We have special gifts for you. If you don't want the gifts, I will take everything home. And I would personally like to thank each one of you for, and especially all the team members and servant leaders who had worked so hard to make this program a super success. We plan to have bigger and better fest next year. Are you all ready for that? So thank you so much for each one of you for cooperating so well and participating so enthusiastically.